Okay, let's talk trucking compliance. You might not think of it as the most exciting topic out there,
Probably not, no.
but trust me, it's absolutely the bedrock that keeps your business moving.
Yeah.
It's really the difference between keeping those wheels turning and, well, facing a shutdown order.
It's that critical.
It really is that critical for any operation on the road. So for this deep dive, we're going to try and cut through some of that complexity. We want to look specifically at how responsibilities shift based on your business model,
Right?
whether you're leasing onto a carrier or running completely independent.
Exactly. And our goal today really is to pull out the most crucial takeaways from the guide you shared. We want to help you understand who's truly responsible for what and, when, so you can make smart, sustainable decisions. Because ultimately, compliance isn't just about ticking boxes for an inspection.
Right.
It's about building a truly road-ready business every single day.
Road-ready business. I like that frame. It makes me think, what's like a common misconception people have? Something they think they're doing right, but often aren't, right at the start.
That's a really good question. A big one is thinking compliance is just a one-time setup, like a hurdle you clear to get on the road.
Yeah, get the numbers and go.
Right, instead of seeing it as this ongoing operational discipline. But the truth is, it starts with really understanding your fundamental position in the trucking world. And there are basically three core categories most carriers fall into. Each one has a pretty distinct starting point for compliance. First, you've got the owner-operators with their own authority. These folks are, fully independent.
The Bosch.
Yeah, exactly. They hold their own DOT and MC numbers. Essentially, they are their own trucking company.
Yeah.
And because of that, they carry the full weight of compliance. Every single detail.
Look on them.
All on them. Then you have lease-on drivers. Now, these drivers operate under another carrier's authority. The big plus here, the carrier typically handles a lot of the major regulatory filings, the admin burden.
Take some weight off.
It does. But, and this is crucial, the driver is still very much part of that system. Some compliance is handled for them, sure, but their individual actions, their records, still incredibly important.
Mm-hmm. Still accountable.
Absolutely. And finally, we have small fleet owners. These are the folks managing multiple trucks, multiple drivers, all operating under their own authority. So think about it. They're doing everything an owner-operator does, but multiplied for every truck, every driver.
Wow.
It really scales up the complexity. Driver qualification, vehicle maintenance, fuel taxes, all of it.
So, okay, bottom line. Know your role from day one. And it
Right.
sounds like no matter which path you take, compliance isn't something you can just sort of delegate away entirely or ignore. It's foundational.
Couldn't have said it better. Foundational.
Okay, now that we've kind of mapped out those basic categories, let's get into the real day-to-day stuff, the actions.
Where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. This is where it gets really interesting, I think, for anyone in trucking. Understanding these tailored responsibilities, that can save you a world of headaches. So what do those checklists actually look like?
Right. Let's break down those daily, weekly actions. For owner-operators with their own authority, the key insight is you are your own compliance department.
Okay.
And honestly, your digital organization is probably your greatest asset. Everything from drug testing records, maintenance logs, it all needs to be accessible, usually within 48 hours for an audit.
48 hours, that's quick.
It is. Think of it like building this unshakable digital fortress around your business. Specifically, you've got to enroll in a certified consortium for DOT drug and alcohol testing, participate in randoms.
Right.
You also need to register with the FMCSA clearinghouse. And this is important as both a driver and an employer. Full compliance there.
Got it. Both hats?
Yep. And you're solely responsible for maintaining your own driver qualification file, your DQF. That's your professional compliance portfolio, basically. CDL, MVR, physical, history, testing docs, all of it.
Okay. And unless you've got a specific exemption, you need an FMCSA-approved ELD, electronic logging device,
Oh.
for accurate hours of service.
Standard now, mostly.
Pretty much. And daily vehicle inspections. Pre-trip, post-trip. Non-negotiable. Document them. Fix safety defects immediately. Audit readiness means having all this stuff, HOS, insurance, truck inventory, maintenance logs ready to go.
Okay. Comprehensive for the owner-up.
What about lease-on drivers? Sounds like less burden, but what's their critical part?
Yeah, less burden on filings, but here's the mantra. Your license is still on the line.
Mm-hmm.
The carrier, they'll typically include you in their drug and alcohol testing pool. They maintain your DQF.
Yep.
However, you should still regularly check in, confirm your documents are current. Don't just assume.
Good advice.
The carrier usually dictates the ELD system too, But you are responsible for using it correctly, logging your hours accurately. That's on you. And you are absolutely still accountable for those daily vehicle inspections, pre and post trip. And you must report defects.
So the daily checks are universal.
Universal. And crucially, keep your own accurate driver logs and inspection records. Even if the carrier handles the big filings, maybe even get copies of your records from the carrier periodically. Stay informed.
Right, because it's your record, too.
Exactly. Your license.
Okay, and then small fleet owners. Sounds like the complexity just explodes here.
It really does. Magnified role. You need complete DQFs for all your drivers, making sure every single one meets FMCSA standards.
Not just yours. Everyone's.
Everyone's. You're tracking hours of service for all drivers. Vehicle maintenance needs a proactive, regular schedule across the entire fleet. Inspections, repairs, document everything.
Systems become vital.
Absolutely. All your drivers pre-screened, included in a random drug testing program. And as that fleet grows, seriously consider record-keeping tools, fleet management software. It becomes almost essential to automate and organize that mountain of documentation.
Wow, yeah, that really paints a picture of the scaling challenges. So for someone running a small fleet, beyond just getting the systems, is there like one common place where new fleet owners tend to get tripped up?
That's a great question. A common slip-up. Underestimating the ongoing management of those multiple DQFs and hours of service records?
Complacency.
Kind of. It's easy to set up a system and think you're done. But you need a really disciplined, recurring review process for each driver's file, each driver's HOS, not just a one-off check.
Makes perfect sense. Building those consistent habits, not just reacting. Okay, speaking of ongoing, beyond the daily checks and balances, what about those recurring compliance filings, the ones you just can't miss throughout the year?
Oh, yes, the ongoing filings. These are like the steady pulse of your compliance health. Can't ignore them. First up, there's the Unified Carrier Registration, or UCR, annual filing. Interstate commerce, fees are based on fleet size.
Okay.
And enforcement is real. Lots of states check UCR status right at the way stations.
So they will catch you.
They will. Owner-operators, small fleets, you're responsible for filing and paying this yourselves. Lease-On drivers. Carrier usually handles it, but like we said, verify you're covered. Smart move.
Got it. UCR annually. What's next?
Then there's IFTA, the International Fuel Tax Agreement. This kicks in for trucks over 26,000 pounds or those with 3 or more axles. It requires quarterly reports, quarterly tax payments based on the miles you drive in each state or Canadian province. It's basically a way to streamline fuel tax across borders.
Quarterly. Okay, that's more frequent.
Yep. Owner-operators and fleets. Full responsibility here. Diligently track those miles. Keep every fuel receipt, file every quarter.
Sounds ridiculous.
It is. Lease-On drivers, again, the carrier likely files. But you might still need to submit your mileage data to them, so you got to confirm those expectations up front. Don't assume.
Okay, UCR annual, IFT quarterly. What else is big?
The International Registration Plan, IRP, this is about vehicle registration across state lines. It lets you have one license plate, the apportion plate, that's valid in multiple jurisdictions. Ah, the plate registration.
Exactly. You pay apportioned fees based on where your trucks actually run. Owner-operators and fleets. You register through your home base state, report miles traveled annually.
Annually for IRP.
Correct. Lease-On drivers.
Yeah.
Almost always handled by the carrier, especially if you're driving their truck. But again, good to know it's being done.
Makes sense. Are there others we should briefly mention?
Yeah, so quickly. The DOT biennial update, that's the MCS 150 form, every 2 years, keeps your company info current with FMCSA.
Okay, every 2 years.
Insurance filings. Crucial. Must stay continuously current, match your operating status. If not, you're out of service. Simple as that.
No wiggle room there.
None. And always remember any special permits. Hazmat, oversized loads, maybe specific state permits. Those have strict renewal dates you cannot miss.
Wow. Okay. It's definitely not just about driving. It's keeping track of all these dates, these filings. I can see why automation is so appealing.
Hugely appealing, almost necessary as you grow. So given all these requirements, let's really zero in on the bedrock. Record keeping. Beyond just knowing what to file, what exactly needs to be kept, and who's ultimately holding the bag for maintaining it all depending on the business model.
Right, record keeping. It's the tangible proof, isn't it? The evidence of your compliance. For owner-operators with authority, the answer is simple. You're responsible for everything.
Everything.
Driver logs, maintenance records, fuel receipts for IFTA, tax filings, road test results, your complete DQF, all your insurance documents, everything. And the guide really hammers this home. These records should ideally be digital, super organized, and ready to share, often within that 48-hour window for an audit.
That 48-hour target again. Critical.
Very critical. For lease-on drivers, okay, the carrier handles the big filings, yes, but you still have crucial responsibilities for your records. You absolutely must keep your own driver logs accurate, your daily inspection records, any other reports your carrier require.
Your personal logs and checks.
Exactly. And a smart move. Regularly get copies of filings the carrier makes for you. Ask questions, don't be shy. Because, say it again.
It's your license at stake, too.
Precisely. And for small fleets, well, you need all those records logs, fuel inspections, DQFs for each truck and each driver.
The multiplier effect.
Huge multiplier. This is where systems truly become non-negotiable. The recommendation is strong. Use fleet management software, maybe even hire a dedicated compliance manager as you grow, because trying to scale this manually, it's incredibly tough. Risky, even.
Makes sense. You need the infrastructure.
You do. And this all feeds into that broader mindset of audit readiness. It's not, a one-time project you do before an audit.
Right, not cramming for the test.
Exactly. It's an ongoing routine. The advice, back up everything. Digital and paper for critical files. Maybe not a bad idea for peace of mind. Automate what you can. Use the apps, the software for logging, IFTA tracking, inspections. Makes life easier. And review your own stuff quarterly. Do little self-audits. Catch mistakes before the FMCSA or DOT does.
Proactive.
And finally, stay in the loop. Regulations change. Subscribe to FMCSA updates. Talk to a compliance pro. Stay current.
So it's about building those consistent habits, those reliable systems, not just scrambling when an audit notice shows up. I can almost feel the relief of knowing everything's organized, ready to go.
It's a huge weight off your shoulders when you know you're audit ready all the time.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, all right. We've really broken down the details for each model. Let's try and put it all together now. For someone out there maybe considering their path in trucking or perhaps thinking about switching things up, what are the main trade-offs when you weigh leasing onto a carrier versus biting the bullet and running under your own authority?
Yeah, it really boils down to that fundamental balance, right? Independence versus administrative burden.
Yeah.
If you're leasing onto a carrier, the upsides are pretty clear. Less paperwork, fewer filings you have to manage directly.
The carrier handles a lot.
Right. Compliance, insurance, dispatch, maybe even audit support. It's a great option for folks who really just want to focus on driving and earning without getting bogged down in all that back-end administration.
Makes sense for some. What are the downsides then?
Well, less independence, obviously, less flexibility. Your earnings might be lower because of revenue splits or fees. And it's definitely harder to build your own distinct brand or direct customer base when you're under someone else's banner.
Okay, so less control, potentially less earning power long-term for the brand.
Potentially, yeah. Now, flip side, running with your own authority. The upsides here are significant too. Full control. Your routes, your clients, your rates. You typically keep a much larger slice of the revenue pie.
The freedom aspect.
Huge freedom aspect.
Yeah.
And you can genuinely build equity in your own business name, your brand. That has real value.
But the catch?
The catch is responsibility. Full, undeniable responsibility for all those filings, all the fees, all the compliance we've been talking about.
It all lands on you.
Every bit of it. There's significantly more administrative work, higher startup costs usually, and let's be honest, greater risk. Financial risk, legal risk, if something slips through the cracks, because the buck stops entirely with you.
So yeah, a really clear trade-off. The freedom and potential reward of being your own boss versus the significant weight of responsibility that comes with it really makes you think about what kind of business owner you truly want to be.
Absolutely. It's a core decision.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, it is just abundantly clear. Compliance, maybe not the sexiest part of trucking, but undeniably one of the most important for protecting your income, protecting your reputation, and honestly, your ability to grow.
Exactly right. And there's no single, universal solution here. What works perfectly for a solo lease-on driver, that's probably not going to cut it for a growing fleet.
Different needs.
Totally different needs. But one universal truth, I think, hold across the board. Compliance is just significantly easier. It's more manageable, less stressful. When you truly understand your specific role, when you use the right tools, and when you consistently stay one step ahead of the requirements.
Being proactive, not reactive.
That's the key.
So here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Instead of just aiming to, pass inspections or avoid penalties, what if your ultimate goal was bigger? What if it was to build a trucking business that is just fundamentally, intrinsically road-ready from the ground up? What would that look like for your own operations or maybe for your future plans in this world of trucking?